G'day everybody. Today we're changing out the fluid on a 100 Series Land Cruiser. This is a HDJ100R fitted with the 1HD FTE engine, the turbo diesel. This is your power steering reservoir there. Put the lid on it, there you go. That's the power steering fluid reservoir, and we've just changed it out. It's a pretty simple procedure. It's not real complicated. If you can change oil, you can do this, I would suggest. If you haven't ever changed your oil before, but you wanted to give it a go, this is not a bad thing to cut your chops on as well. It's pretty simple. There is a service interval on the power steering fluid on the HDJ100, so it should have been changed, but depending on what mechanic you've had service it, or if you've just bought one used and it's been serviced by a home mechanic previously, it's an easy thing to skip over. People think, filter, oil. These things are pretty known for being indestructible, very, very reliable. The 1HD FTE is a great engine, but the problem with engines that are known as being bulletproof, they're often the quickest engines to get neglected. So it wouldn't be surprising to find that your power steering fluid is well past being changed, or it's never even been changed. So on this particular vehicle, I don't know how long it was since this was last changed, but it's certainly due for a change. And there is a little bit more noise creeping into the power steering unit now. It's not leaking, gone right through the system. No leaks, which is great. No faltering of performance, but it is a little noisy. And checking the fluid level was okay, but it's old. It's pretty scungy. So want to change it. So we've just done it. It's pretty simple. What you do, you've got two lines here. The bigger of the two lines, the line that comes out of the bottom of your reservoir is your pressure line, and then your smaller that goes into the side of the reservoir, that's your return line. So if you know that, you can pretty much figure out what you need to do here. So there's three 12mm bolts, 1, 2, 3 underneath it. Just get your ratchet, pull them out. That's pretty simple. So what I did is, once you got those three bolts out, I just lifted it up. There is a little bit of wiggle room in these lines. They're not exactly cut to length, so there is a little bit of wiggle room. There was enough for me to wiggle it up a little bit to make it easier to get access to the clamps that hold the hoses on with my vice grips. Clamp them, wiggle them down, and then pull the hoses off. That was not real difficult to undertake that task. So just pull it up, gives you better access to your clamps, pull them off, and then you can wiggle your hoses down. Now, if this is full, everything's running right, but you want to change it out and it's full, when you pull these lines off, it's going to leak. So one thing you could do is you could suck as much of this out as you can. If you've got a transfer pump of some description, you could suck some of the fluid out. Alternatively, if you can't do that, what I would suggest is just get a little 600ml clear plastic old water bottle. Once you take that off, take the top one off first, take your return line off first, and then bam, because it's going to be loose and you lifted it up, bam a water bottle underneath it and just catch that fluid in a little, or whatever little container you have to catch it in. Clear is good, and we'll come back to that later. So just catch it out of that. Once that one's drained out, there will be a little bit left in the bottom because this line's lower. So once that's all come out, you tip it, try and get most of it out, and then take your bottom line off and then put it on that to drain. Because the fluid in this was evidently pretty old, and I don't know when it was replaced, I actually took the step of cleaning the reservoir out. So you can use a suitable cleaning product. Don't wash it out with water, but you can use a suitable cleaning product to clean that out, whichever you think is right. I mean, if you want to use water, you can use water, but if you clean it out, you want to make sure she's dry, particularly if you're using a solvent that might react with your new fluid. So make sure it's nice and dry before you put it back on again. So I've cleaned that out, and then put it back on again. Now what you want to do before you put it back on again, just because it's going to be easier to do it out of the car, is plug this line. You don't have to do this. You can just use your finger or something, but because I did this all standalone, just as a one-man operation, I didn't have a finger to hold on this while I turned the wheel. So what I did was I just got some duct tape and then just taped the end and then wrapped it up really tight to plug this end off. Your pressure line you want to leave open, obviously, and then put the the reservoir back in, plugged it into the pressure line, and I just sat it there. I didn't actually bolt it down, and it didn't wiggle out or anything. So just sat it there, and then filled it with fresh fluid, fresh power steering fluid. Now you can use whatever brand you want. In Australia, you've got lots of options. I used what I had, what I just had lying around. We do all the servicing of the vehicle ourselves, so I just used what I had, which was, where are we here? So it was that, there's Penrite Power Steering fluid. This is, power steering fluid with stop leak. It's a mineral fluid. This isn't leaking, but it's what I had, and it meets the specifications. You need to have a Dexron II power steering fluid, so make sure you get your specifications right. But you can, in Australia, you can get it from Castrol or Valvoline or Nulon or Gulf Western. They all make options for this particular vehicle, so not much of a drama there. Pick whichever you want. Filled that. And then what you do is you need to start draining the fluid out of the system. So what I did there was this line here, the return line, it comes out underneath the fluid down here, and then it goes on a right angle to come up to here, which is actually quite useful, because what you can do is you can get your clear plastic bottle. Where's my clear plastic bottle? My clear plastic bottle, which is not so clear anymore because it's all been full of old oil. There it is. So I just got that, I wedged that down here between the engine block and one of the engine mounts, and that wedged in there pretty good, so it's not going to move. And then because this is at a right angle, I just turned it upside down and stuck it into the bottle, and then wedged it in between the block and the engine mount, and that held it in place really good. This is a square bottle, which probably helped rather than round, but anyway, that was more fluke than anything else. So just turned it upside down, wedged it in there. So go around. So what you do then is you go and jump in the cabin once you've got it jacked up. Once you've got this topped up, turn it all the way to the left, turn it all the way to the right, and you're going to have a bunch of skunky black or brown stuff, if it's like mine, in your clear plastic water bottle. From there, you'll need to top this up again. I found that I could go all the way to the left, all the way to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and this was pretty much empty. So then fill it up again. And you could do that 2 or 3 times before your water bottle's full. And then you've got to drain it out, replace it, make sure you keep topping this up each time, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And then keep doing that, draining it out when it needs to, topping it up every time, until your replacement fluid comes through. So if it's brown and you've got a red power steering fluid in there, then you keep doing it until the red fluid, new fresh red fluid comes through. In this case, keep doing it until all the dark coloured stuff's out of there and the clear fluid starts coming through. Once you've got the clear fluid through, job done. You can reconnect your return line, hard bolt it down into place. And then you need to bleed, you should bleed the system just to make sure you've got no air bubbles in there. So top this up to the correct level. Now on the dipstick, there's both a cold and a hot. You'll see I've not finished it yet because the oil's foamy, which means I've got to keep going. So you'll see that on mine, it's a bit foamy. So I'll get to that step. So top it back up again, start the engine. And then with the engine started, go all the way to the left, still jacked up, all the way to the left, hold it for 2 to 3 seconds, all the way to the right, hold it for 2 to 3 seconds, and do that, say 3 or 4 times. Once you've done that, come around, top it up if it's gone down. If it's foamy like that, like mine is, that means you've got to let that foam settle down, top it up, and do it again. And do it again until you get a nice level power steering fluid with no foam in it. You also should be aware that when you know you're done, the manual says no more than a 5 centimetre variance in fluid once you've turned the car off. So you turn it on all the way to the left, hold it, all the way to the right, hold it. Do that 3 or 4 times, turn the car off, come and check your fluid, and that'll tell you when you're finished. Whether if it's foamy, let it calm down, top it up, do it again. If it's not foamy and you've got no more, you've got less than a 5 centimetre variance in height, you're all good to go. So that's how you do it. It's not particularly hard, it's pretty easy. You can do it with just one person with those steps outlined. That's how I did it. So it's not complicated. And this is in a good position to do this. one of the things I like about the 100 series cruiser is that it's a really good, nice thing to work on. Rear shock absorber replacement is the exception, but everything else has been very, very nice, very easy to work on, and this is no exception. So if you want to do it yourself, there should be no reason that you can't maintain the recommended Toyota service interval here. Should be nice and easy for you. But I hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching.